Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to DragonCon Skeptrack. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You've seen our next guest on multiple sources for her dramatic personal transformation. She's a fitness trainer, personal instructor, and Eftimiades is going to join us up here on stage. Thank you so much. Give her a big welcome from Skeptrack. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Can everyone hear me all right? I don't want to be one of those people where you can't, talking back here and then I get some of these in the back. Are we good? Okay. Well, let's get started. How's everybody doing today? Good? Yes? Awesome. All right. Not a tough crowd. I love it. All right. So, as Angie said, my name is Demi, or Demetra, but usually just my dad calls me Demetra when he's, angry mode at me when I do something wrong. But you guys can call me Demi. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 biggest fitness myths that are harder to kill than a radioactive cockroach. And so today I thought I would just concoct up some of the biggest ones that I have seen, experienced with people that I currently work with, things that I have experienced myself throughout the past 10, 11 years or so, and they just won't go away no matter how much, how hard scientists, experts, educators try to eradicate it with data, logic, and rhetoric. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't know if you guys can see my slides or not. Can you see that? Give me some thumbs. Yes? Awesome. Okay, cool. So these are all of the 6 ones that we're going to be going over today. And if you have questions at the end of it, obviously, you guys can come up right there. There's a podium, or not a little podium, but there's a little stick right there with a microphone, just like me. Don't touch it. And you guys can, ask me questions afterwards. Cool beans? Yes. Love it. Awesome. All right. Let's move on. Now, why should you listen to me? Who am I? Well, obviously, Genji gave me a wonderful introduction. However, I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of a little something else, just to insight into who I am and why I'm speaking to you guys today. Cool. Well, my name's Demi. I help busy men, women, goons, goblins of the sorts, everybody, wizards, witches, get fit. I help them gain confidence, build strength, and create more energy and just overall feeling better in your skin, feeling healthier, et cetera, et cetera. And some of the things that I have gone through myself, obviously the big weight loss transformation initially. I lost about 50 to 60 pounds. I can't remember anymore. It was about 10 years ago. In about 3 months. And it wasn't necessarily a very healthy way to go about it because I didn't know how to do it the right way. And so then after that point, it felt very weak. Right? So I lost a lot of weight, very short period of time, felt weak, didn't feel like myself. And at the time, I was playing college basketball. So you can imagine, right? A lot of weight loss. So what I did was I said, you know what? I'm tired of being weak. I want to feel strong. I want to build these muscles, And I decided to venture out into getting as strong as I possibly could. So where did that lead me? Well, that led me into then bodybuilding. I did that for a few years, and I was just completely obsessed with it. And then it got to a point where you look really strong and you look super fit and everybody's like, wow, you look great, you look amazing. But you don't necessarily feel amazing. In bodybuilding, you see people get up on stage and they're cut and they're lean and you can see all their muscles and whatnot. However, when they get off that stage, the first thing that they do is they go straight to where? Cheesecake Factory. Straight to Cheesecake Factory. And my sister can vouch for this. She's sitting here right in the front. Went to Cheesecake Factory. Oh, no, she brought me a cheesecake, I think it was. And my next step after that was straight to the bathroom because I hadn't had a cheesecake in about 6 months or so. So you can imagine how that goes. But regardless, went into bodybuilding, did that for a few years, realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to feel weak. I wanted to feel strong. And that led me into powerlifting. And so a lot of times my mom would see me lifting, 300 pounds. You're going to break your back. You're too small. You can't be doing all this. But little does she know that powerlifting creates strong bones, makes us super strong. And so I got into powerlifting and had a bit of an accident with my scapula. And now here we are today, just your average Joe, talking to you guys here at 11:30 in the morning about fitness. Just kidding. No, but I'm really big on balance now, helping people get to where they want to be, whether that is just strictly weight loss, bodybuilding, powerlifting. That's what I do. And I help you guys get there in a sustainable way without injuring yourself or having to give up cheesecake. That's my biggest thing. I love cheesecake. All right, so that's me in a nutshell. I also, here we go. I forgot about this slide here. This was my heaviest, and then that was me at my leanest. I was about 160 and some change, and 2 or 3. And I got down to my lowest about 104 when I stepped on stage. So pretty big difference there. And after that, I was reached out to by a ton of media outlets, radio, bodybuilding.com, PopSugar. And then I forgot to mention this to you guys. Let me go back a slide or two. Harder to kill than a radioactive cockroach. You guys see that cockroach up there? Mm-hmm. Now, I've got them sprinkled through the presentation because there's a ton of them. There's a lot of myths that we just can't bust. So whoever, let me see if you guys can, went blank. I've got them sprinkled throughout the presentation, so make sure you guys are paying attention and seeing how many that there are, because they're sprinkled throughout, all right? And whoever gets it right, you guys get to do push-ups with me afterwards or something, I don't know. All right, so make sure, something's going on. Oh, we're good? We good, Mark? Yeah, we're good. All right, cool beans.
I think we have loose connection under.
Loose connection?
Goes out, just wiggle that connection.
All right, I'll use my muscles to back in. All right, well, let's get started. Oh, last thing. I have a very fluffy German Shepherd, along with my partner up here in front. His name is Kevin. He's also my business partner, life partner, everything partner. And we own a fitness company together called Peak PT, personal training. And he keeps us very fit, if I will say, very stressed. He's a big boy. He's very fluffy, but yeah, right. There you go. All right. Well, this is Zeus. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today, but it is his birthday a few days ago. So, fun fact of the day. All right. Now into the juicy stuff. Now, what's more with these myths and mistakes are why so many people are struggling to lose fat, gain muscle, get strong, and why they remain stagnant and frustrated instead. And as you guys will all see as I go through everything, we've all fallen for, and this is obviously including myself, at least a couple of these in our journeys. And who knows, maybe you guys are still harboring some of these as well. So let's find out, all right? Boom. If you have questions, I recommend taking out your phone, writing it down on your notes pad, or if you guys have a little sticky note, just write them as you go so that you can rapid fire when you guys get up to the mic. Cool. Number one, the calories in versus calories out is bad science. Now, another thing that I've, here is it's time we've moved on and realized that dieting is just all about the quality of food, not the calories. I've heard this a ton of times, that the former, triathlete turned guru will say on his Blockbuster blog, right? The sales pitch sounds very intriguing, sounds really sexy, right? Grasps your attention. Eat the right foods and you can unclog and just, supercharge your hormones and your metabolism, and your body will just, take care of the rest. This is music to a lot of people's ears who want to believe that they can get really lean, they can get super fit without ever having to restrict or even really pay attention to how much food that they're consuming. Only what? Yesterday, for example, I eat about 1,500 calories and some change. And I ate 3 pieces of food yesterday. I also had a 9-hour trip here because I was driving from DC. But I had 3 pieces of food. I had a grilled chicken, Chick-fil-A. What did I have? Spicy chicken? No, that's you. I hate spicy. A chicken sandwich. I had a few of the waffle fries, and I think I had a protein shake in the morning. I honestly can't remember. I had 3 things, and that equated to 1,500 calories worth of food. Whereas the day prior, I had a banana, I had oatmeal, I had some sprinkles on the side, I had my veggies, and I felt great at the end of the day. However, at the end of the day yesterday, it didn't feel so great, right? So you guys see the difference between eating 3 pieces of food that equate to a lot of calories versus a lot of good food, and it fills me up throughout the day, right? Make sense? Yes? Got some thumb. I'm getting some, yeah. All right, cool. So the calories in versus calories out is bad science. It's pretty silly. In fact, it is worse than that. It's a lie, because as far as your body weight is concerned, how much you eat is far more important than what you eat in regards to weight loss. Now, obviously, like I said, I didn't feel so great at the end of the day. I felt, lethargic. I didn't really have good nutrient-dense food. But when it comes to just overall weight loss, the amount of food you consume matters. It really does. There was a study done. I can't remember what it was, but basically a guy went and ate McDonald's do you remember what that was? Remember what it was? Morgan Spurlock. Thank you. Brownie points in the front. Calorie-free, obviously. So he went and ate McDonald's every day of the other day just to prove that he could lose weight while consuming processed food. And he did it. However, he felt horrible. He felt lethargic. He couldn't really do much. He just felt, You feel, your body craves veggies at some point, right? So same thing there, you guys, same thing. Next, this one's for the ladies. You can tone, shape, and sculpt your muscles. Tone those arms, shape that butt, sculpt those abs. It sounds, nice. Sounds feminine. Nothing like the gym talk that you hear about, gains and putting on mass and adding size. Phrases like these make for a lot of snazzy and good marketing. I would know because I'm head of marketing for our company. But when companies advertise like this, they're often using to sell something that won't necessarily help you in the long run. Nonsense. You can't lengthen, you can't tighten your muscles or fundamentally change how they are shaped, or selectively just pinpoint where you want to lose fat or strip it away so that they look more defined. You can, however, add muscle to your frame and remove body fat. Nothing more or less, okay? If you do that correctly, if you do that right, you can get the right amount of muscle definition that you're looking for. You can get curves, you can get lines in all the right places, okay? The exercise advice that is generally given for toning and for sculpting and getting shredded and all that jazz and shaping is also pretty silly. Women are usually told that it's a lot of high repetitions of things and go to your body pump class and sweat out as much as you possibly can. A lot of low weight resistance training, so using like the 5 pounds instead of the 10 pounds because you're scared of getting bulky. Don't worry, we'll get into that. This is about as wrong as it possibly can be, because you should actually be doing the exact opposite of that if you want a defined physique, if you're looking for something as quickly as possible. A lot of lower repetition and higher weights will actually really help you. And you don't necessarily have to walk over to that big, long bar that you guys see and start throwing it and doing a bunch of, CrossFit and all that jazz. You can use machines. You can do that too. You can use those free weights. Go to a corner. Do your own thing. But the key to this is to lift heavier over time so that you build muscle. And the more muscle you have, less body fat you're going to have, because muscle is a very high quality. It's very high quality. It's very hard to come by. It's very hard to come by. I would know. It's taking me a long time to get here. Okay. So now you guys might be thinking, but wait, won't lifting heavier, won't that make me bulky? Right? Who said no? Of course, the doctor. Yes. Love it. Well, about that, let's move on over. Heavy weightlifting, next myth. Heavy weightlifting makes women bulky. Don't worry, guys. I'll get to yours. Don't worry. I've got a myth for you coming too. But ladies, heavy lifting makes you bulky. If there is one mainstream misconception that causes more harm to women's physiques than any other, it is this one. And I've seen it a ton of times. Demi, I don't want to lift too heavy. I don't want to get too bulky. I have a client who starts working with me, and I tell them, well, you're in for a treat because we're going to be squatting about 200 pounds by the end of these 6 months. So, because you're trying to build those glutes. So at first glance, it sounds plausible. Heavy weights are for the boys, and they want bulging, biceps. They want bigger backs. They want chicken thigh legs. I get it. Why would women who want defined, leaner, feminine-looking physique, muscles, why would they train in the same way? Right? Makes sense. Well, apparent proof of this myth can be found at any of your local CrossFit gyms, right? Where you will see at least a few women who have figures that might make NFL linebackers jealous. Now, here's what you don't see, however. It's very, very hard. Trust me, I have tried. It is very hard for women to build a big, bulky body. Really, really hard. And it doesn't just happen like that. It doesn't happen by accident or overnight, really. It takes elite muscle building, genetics, and years of concerted effort in the gym, countless hours in order to create a big, bulky body like that you guys will see. I don't want to lift heavy weights. I don't want to get bulky, right? And usually, 9 times out of 10, anabolic steroids are often involved as well, and especially sometimes in the case of professional athletes. You've seen it in the Olympics. It's happened a ton of times. But that said, there are still enough women in gyms everywhere who hit the weights regularly and look bulky enough to give you like a pause. I'm like, well, I don't know. I still see that, that lady every morning at 6 a.m. She's pretty bulky, and I see her lifting really heavy. And that's why you need to know what really gives women that look, and it's having too much body fat. That's what it is. Thus, a rule of thumb for women who want to be lean: the more muscle that you have, like I said about 2 minutes ago, the less body fat you have to avoid looking bulky. Okay, so for example, a woman who with a little muscle might feel very skinny or scrawny like I did when I first lost all that weight at 18% body fat. The percentage of body weight that is fat and comfortable at a 25%, whereas a woman with significant amount of muscle will probably love how she looks at 18%, but feel a little, how should I put this, like roly-poly at 25, if that makes sense. So with that being said, lift heavier weights, pick up heavy things, put heavy things down. Instead of taking multiple trips to your car, when you come back from the grocery store, what do? We do it all at once. We carry them all, okay? That's how we build these guns. And we help mom out in the process, okay? All right, next up, carbs. Oh, my favorite. Whose favorite thing to eat are carbs? Anybody? Oh, yes, so good. Potatoes? Mashed potatoes? That's pretty good, yeah. Anybody like fats more? Like your cheeses, your bacon, I know. Deep fry, ooh, that's a good one. They got any of those here? I mean, we'll talk after. All right, so now carbs. That's bitter. Perfect. All right, now carbs and sugar make you fat. People love simple explanations, and they love compelling conspiracies, and these two quirks explain the popularity of most mainstream diet trends that we see out there. Now, these emotion-based tactics are how marketers sold me initially on low-fat dieting, high-fat dieting, keto, all that jazz, a decade ago, and how they sell us on low-carb and low-sugar trends today. If you cut out, the theory is, if you cut out these heinous carbs, if you say goodbye to your delicious mashed potatoes and your deep fried Oreos and sugar molecules, you cut all that out of your life, they say that these pounds will just fizzle away. They'll just melt away, right? It all sounds so neat and tidy until someone comes along and brings donuts first thing in the morning to work, and you're like, oh, I haven't had a donut. I haven't smelled a carb in about 2 weeks. Maybe just once. And you take that donut. And someone comes along like me and points out the glitches in the matrix, or the well-designed and well-executed studies that have found no difference in weight loss whatsoever, being low and high carb and low and high sugar diets. And I listed out a few here for you guys. Oh, and I hit it again. Hopefully it goes back up. Scientists at Arizona State, for example, University, found no difference in weight or fat loss between people consuming 5 and 40% of their calories from carbs for about 10 weeks. That's 1. 2, scientists at Medical College of Wisconsin found no difference in weight or fat loss between people consuming 4 and 30% of their calories from carbohydrates for 6 weeks. So I don't have to go into the last one because you probably know what the answer is for that too. So just a few things to go by. Know this: if you consistently consume fewer calories than you burn, you will lose weight, regardless of how much carbs or sugars that you eat. There's a corollary here too. No individual food, and I hear this a ton, I'll probably get a lot of questions about it later, can make you put on body fat. There's no like specific food, like those deep fried Oreos, those will not specifically cause you to put on body fat. Only eating in a calorie surplus, meaning overeating those delicious deep fried Oreos, will cause you to put on body fat. Okay? Got it? Thumbs? Everybody got this so far? Nice. All right, we're getting a lot of thumbs here. I like it. Moving on. All right, now, guys, I told you I'd have some good ones for you, right? Here we go. Some guys just don't have the genetics to get big and strong. Now, for many, oh, I didn't know I could pick this up. That works. I like that. Is that good? Cool. For many genetics, it is a, how do I put this? Genetics can be a very unpalatable word for a lot of people. They'll say, oh, you know, it's due to my ancestry. We just grew up on eating potatoes, and that's why I can't have carbs, and that's why I can't build muscle. I can't do X, Y, and Z. And it's often associated with the things that you want to change, but you just can't. And I'm not going to blow smoke. The muscle building is one of those things. And I used to think this for a very long period of time, and until I showed myself that I was actually able to do it. We do all have, however, hard limits. We do have limits as to how much muscle we can actually gain. There's like a, you know, everybody has different thresholds, really. There are many physiological variables that come into play here, you guys, but you can get fairly accurate estimate of your muscle building potential by, I don't know if anybody's actually going to go and do this, but you could, analyzing your bone structure, right? Go to the mirror and look at yourself. Analyze yourself. What do you look like? Research shows that people with larger bones tend to be more muscular than people with smaller frames. The bigger boned people will also tend to have a higher level of testosterone and gain muscle faster when they start lifting weights. Okay? Now, what this means then is big boned people have more genetic, in theory, potential for strength and size than the smaller folk. Now, what qualifies as big boned, though, right? And how do you measure up to that? What does that mean? 2 of the best indicators of your overall bone structure are the circumferences of your wrist and, bam, your ankles. Didn't know I could do that, did you? Your wrist and your ankles. Height being equal, people who have wider wrists and ankles tend to be naturally more muscular and have higher potential for muscle growth than those who have narrow ones. Interesting fact, huh? Did you guys know that? No. Learning today. I love it. So unless you want to be a top tier bodybuilder or a fitness competitor, which some of you very well may be, you really have nothing to worry about. You guys, nothing to worry about. You can gain more strength. You can gain enough muscle to look fantastico. You can look great. Okay. Just realize that most guys only need to gain about 20 to 25 pounds of muscle to really have this physique that you guys are looking for, the impressive physique that, most guys want. And I'm not talking about like the top heavy and then they come out here and they've got they skip leg day, skinny legs. You got to train everything. Got to do your squats. And 20, 25 pounds to have that physique, but, and literally anybody could do that. Anyone could do that, no matter how skinny or weak you might think you are. When you first touch that barbell for that first time, you just got to start. I was talking to somebody before I walked up about just starting. And a lot of times we think that we have to do so much to get to where we want to be. Maybe your goal is, I want to be able to fit into the pants I wore in college. I want to be able to lose 20, 30 pounds. But it's really not rocket science. You guys, you could do it. You don't have to be hitting the gym 5-6 days a week. You can start off with walks. You can start off with getting up and taking around, mowing the lawn that hasn't been mowed in about a year or so. Start small. Don't overexert yourself, because usually what happens is this, and I used to do this myself when I first started. People will usually say, I'm super motivated. Let's go. Game time. Monday, it's here. I'm going to work out 5 days this week. I'm going to do it. And by day 3, what happens? Burnout. Sore. I heard one more thing. Wow. Exhaustion. Yes, you're exhausted. So instead of going ham those first 5 days and overcommitting, you commit to what you are capable of doing right now. Right? Do something that fits your lifestyle. You don't have a gym membership? Doesn't matter. Start with walks. Do a 20-minute walk. Do it 2 days a week. Then once you do that for a week, what do? We add in a 3rd day. And then we add in a 4th day. And then a 5. And then a 6. And then 7. And then maybe you'll get a gym membership. Who knows? You don't need one, though, to get fit. Okay? Work with what you got. All right? Let's move on. All right. Boom. Actually, wait, I forgot something to tell you guys. Now, no, here we are. There it is. Sorry, I thought I lost my slide. Okay, next, cardio is better for fat loss than weightlifting. And you'll see that this sentence contains information related to the title, and I'm going to tell you exactly what that information is. Okay, 3 of them. 3 big bullet points you've got here. When most people start exercising to lose weight, they choose some form of cardio, like jogging or running or swimming or biking. I haven't ran in God knows how many weeks. I don't like running. I hate running, unless I have to chase after my dog and he's chasing a squirrel, which happens more than I'd like it to, but that's all right. Kevin, you didn't hear that. All right, this is all well and good, but unfortunately just doing cardio guarantees very little in the way of weight loss. At first, you'll lose a lot of weight for the first week because you're sweating a lot, you're losing a lot of water weight. You're like, wow, I lost 6 pounds. This is awesome. And then after that, I see someone going like this. You are exactamundo. You are correct. After that first week, boom, weight starts coming back, or the weight loss at least dwindles a little bit, and you're like, well, what happened? I was doing so good. I was running 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and you try to do that the second week, and nothing's happening. Your results have stagnated, right? So it's all well and good, but unfortunately, just doing it will guarantee very little results. I like to do cardio for my heart health and factor it in here and there. I do the same for my clientele, depending upon their goal. Unless they're like a marathon runner, then it's a little bit different. In fact, studies have shown that many people wind up heavier than when they began their routine in the first place, when they do a bunch of cardiovascular exercises, all right, when they do their routines. Hence, the crowds of people who are wanting to lose weight, they get addicted to burning calories instead of the thing that they should be mainly focused on, which is what? Weightlifting, eating in a calorie deficit, very good, and getting fit, just feeling healthy, right? That's the goal. And what about weightlifting? Well, this is bullet number 2, heading text. Research clearly shows that it's an effective way to lose fat. It is. So why is it generally associated with bulking up and not slimming down? Answer is very simple, my friends. Weightlifting isn't a popular way to lose weight because it's a bad way to lose weight, but it's a fantastic way to speed up fat loss and preserve muscle. Most people think it's horrible. Oh God, I have to lift weights. This hurts. It's painful. What kind of pain are we feeling? Oh, well, it's a good pain. There you go. No pain, no gain, right? Pain can sometimes be associated when you're lifting with burning sensation, and people think that's bad and they want to stray away from it, but it's actually can be a very good thing. It can. So it's just not a very popular way to lose weight because that's not what's marketed to you. What's marketed to you is waist trainers, tea detoxes, some kind of cream that makes your tummy sweat. What else? There's a ton of them out there. I can't think of them all, but you guys are getting the point here, right? A ton of different other things so that the fitness, the conglomerates, all these big companies can just make a quick buck off of you and then have you come back again when it doesn't work the first time because you lose motivation. That's literally how it goes. It's just a cycle and it continues and continues. When we could all just, stand up, pick up our chairs and start squatting with them, that would get us much further than a waist trainer. Yes, good. Okay, now, next, I'm gonna grab some water. I've been talking a lot, haven't I? I guess that's the point, right? I told Derek I was going to be able to finish this entire thing. He gave me a water bottle when I came up here, and he goes, here's your water bottle. Came up, and I said, oh, no. I've got my big, make a statement here, right? But I haven't touched it. I've been talking too much. All right, next. And this one's a big one, you guys. Super big one. You can read all the emails, get all the marketing emails that you want, the blogs, the Facebook, the Instagram posts. You can read all of my Instagram captions and follow me after we're done here. And I'll follow you back. You can do all these things and get all this information, but until you actually take the action to change your diet and your exercise habits, start doing those walks, nothing will change with what you see in the mirror. Not even your bone structure. Okay? We got that? I heard it like a yes ma'am back there or something. Good. I love it. All right. Now, this is my shameless plug. Just so you guys know, it took me years of work, of studying. I went to college for this. Initially, I was a music major, but then I had my weight loss transformation. I said, nope, this is what I want to do. And here I am today, 10 years later. It took me a long time, research, networking, a lot of doing things on my own, trial and error. I've had like 8 coaches that I've worked with, all online, to really understand and distill that, finally being able to teach you guys to take control of your body composition. And yes, you can get this. You guys see this. Some of you guys can read this in the back, but you can get this for less than a McDonald's coffee because it's free. I'm giving you guys this for free to help you guys get started, at least. If you guys are even remotely interested in working out or getting started after this panel, you guys should 1,000% scan this QR code, and I won't be mad if you run up here and scan it. Cool beans? Yeah, we love it. Awesome. And if you pass, no sweat. I see some little camera's going up. I don't know if you guys are taking pictures of me or if you're scanning. Either way, I'll stand here. If you pass, it's no sweat, no pun intended. At least you made the decision instead of missing out just by default, okay? And PPS, if you guys have any friends or family that would like it or benefit from it, shoot it their way too. Send it over. Why keep it all to yourself? Cool. And then lastly, thank you for being here and for listening to me chat with you all and hopefully inspire you a wee bit. I've had a few clients and members message me before, and people who work with me online who obviously can't be here. And they were telling me that, this is your first time public speaking. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's my first time public speaking, you guys. So I just want to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me. I've had a blast chatting with you all. Angie's coming up here to stop me, so I'm going to veer away. But yeah. Yes.
I don't want to stop you. I really don't. Thank you very, very much for that presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's a microphone out here in the aisle. I know everybody has questions. Don't touch the mic. So some of us have arthritis and makes difficult some of these things, like you've said squat a whole bunch of times. Mm-hmm. And so do you have recommendations for adapting activities to people with certain physical limitations?
Absolutely. Osteoporosis runs in my family, and I'm already starting to get creaks, and I'm going to have to WD-40 myself here and there. There's a ton of stuff that you can do if you have arthritis, if you have injuries, limitations. You do not necessarily have to go straight up to that barbell. Like I mentioned, machines are also a good way to limit that and to play it safe, but also make great progress instead of having to just grab that barbell. Also, there's things like wrist wraps, for example. So if you have, let's say, carpal tunnel, you can get these. They're on Amazon. There's some that are a little bit more expensive, like 10 or $50, and there's some for like 10, 15. There's wrist wraps that can help with that pressure so that when you are doing things like pressing or using the machine press, it helps stabilize and it takes away the pain as well. So there's things that you can utilize, add in, take out. You do not necessarily have to.
Good. Looks like we've got a question.
Yes. Yes. And what's your name?
Casey?
Casey. Nice to meet you, Casey.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Demi. Great presentation. Appreciate
you. Thank you.
So I heard you say something a few times, and it's something I hear very often these days, I think both from the quacks and from the legitimate, people probably just, it's out there. And it has to do with how you're going to feel really great when you're eating well. You're going to feel really lousy when you're not. You don't have energy. Personally, my experience has not been that. As someone who has gone through good periods of eating well and periods of losing weight, gaining weight, yeah. I've always kind of felt the same, frankly. So I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had that experience. And I just wondered if I was hoping you might be able to encourage me and tell me that, if that might not be everyone's experience, but there are still plenty of other reasons to eat well and stay on track, other than how you're gonna what your energy level is gonna be like, essentially.
Casey, I think you answered your own question there. There's definitely other factors to it than just feeling great from working out and eating well. There's a lot of what goes on internally that we also don't think about. Getting your blood work done. Have you looked at what that looks like when you started versus 12 weeks afterwards? Not everybody is going to feel great. Sometimes runners get those runner highs and they feel amazing afterwards. And then some people, after they're done working out, they feel like crap. They feel depleted. Yeah, they feel depleted. They don't feel great. Their energy is low. So what I would recommend is if you work out in the morning, maybe try shifting that to later in the day when you're done working out so that you can go crash straight to bed afterwards instead of having to deal with that the rest of the remainder of the day. But then also, like I said, looking at the other things that exercise is going to affect in eating well. It's what's happening internally, because me, for example, I have high cholesterol. Can you imagine? I have high cholesterol, and it could be it could be genetics as well. And a lot of it does have to play with genetics. So I have to be very careful about what I eat and put into my body. And it's just important to think about the internal process of that as well. So I think the best thing would be try switching up either what you're doing in terms of exercise and routine potentially, and then moving around that time as well, and then also get your blood work done.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so sorry. I really, this is your show, but this is something I really, really need to weigh in on. I had a patient who was a long distance runner. And I said, I'm just getting tired. I'm not able to run anymore. I can only run 6 miles now. I'm like, I would keel over from a heart attack if I ran 6 miles. But this is a dude that would run 30 miles a day sometimes. Mm-hmm. And he was actually one of the medical people that I worked with, and he pulled me aside and said, hey, Dr. Mackey, I got this thing. And I said, you probably need a workup. I did an x-ray. He had metastatic cancer. So if you are seeing a change in your physiology, if you're feeling different than usual, talk to your doctor, please. Okay, sorry, I couldn't let that one go. I'm sorry.
High five to that. Boom. Love that.
Well, he died not long after because by then it had spread so far. But it's so important. If you're seeing a change in your reactivity to your normal diet, or if you just don't have the energy. Yes, it could be, all this other stuff, but absolutely see your doctor. You may have some changes in your hormone levels. You may have some changes in your thyroid levels. You may have some horrible disease or it could be just like 2020. It could be just life, because sometimes life makes you tired. So you're not sleeping well, something. Mm-hmm. So please see your doctor if you do have that sort of experience. Sure. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hijack the show.
No, this was great.
Next
stay
question,
up here.
please.
Angie, stay with me.
Oh, well, I'm right here. I'm in the corner.
Yes,
Next question,
and your name?
Diana.
Diana.
I wanted to ask a point of clarification about the calorie deficit eating. Would you agree that if you eat a calorie deficit, you are going to lose weight, but if you don't eat the low calorie density, high nutrient density foods, that you'll be starving all the time? Because if you eat just maybe 2 or 3 deep fried Oreos, you're still hungry because your stomach only triggers you to feel full based on quantity of food, not the number of calories, which would be really wonderful if we evolved to the point that our stomach said, oh, you've eaten 1,500 calories, and it doesn't matter if it was 1,500 calories of oil or cheesecake or broccoli. But that's not the way our stomachs work, is my understanding. So could you, and I was just wondering if you would address that issue, because if I eat certain types of foods, I've already used all my calories today, but my body is still starving for nutrition and my stomach feels empty.
Right. Okay, so just to understand, the question is, could you reiterate that? I'm so sorry. You were talking about filling up your stomach while still being in a calorie deficit?
Because you said, well, you can lose weight eating whatever you want.
Right.
But while that's technically true, if I eat, I would be starving all the time if I
Whatever
tried to eat a calorie. Yes, because it wouldn't give me nutrition and my stomach would still feel empty.
Right.
Because 1,500 of calories of Oreos are just a small amount versus
still hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So that's a real thing. When I first started dieting, I would eat, and I would actually eat a ton of food. And they were nutrient dense, and I have my ice creams, little things here and there. However, I was still not necessarily full. When you're in a calorie deficit, you are still going to be hungry. It's going to be something that you just deal with. And when you're in a calorie surplus, so when you're trying to put on muscle and minimal body fat, the other side of that is you're always full. You're always bloated. But when it comes to being in a deficit, yes, you can eat whatever you want. However, like you said, you're going to be hungry. You're going to be lethargic. You're going to feel like how I felt yesterday after having the Chick-fil-A and the protein shake and the waffles. And that's literally all that I had. Oh, and a matcha iced latte, because I love matcha. But that's all I had, So yes, you're going to feel hungry if you don't allot, having cauliflower, having your protein, super important, having, your chicken, right? Your lean proteins. And if you're vegan, you can have, chickpeas. There's a ton of stuff that you can do, but it's like and I'm sure you guys have heard it before. It's like an 80-20 split. They say fill your day up with 80% foods that you know are good for you. So think like on the perimeter of the supermarket, and then that fun little 20% can be the deep fried Oreos that we were talking about. Does that make sense? Did they answer your question?
Yes, actually, I like the 80/20 sounds doable. You don't have to give up everything, but
Exactly.
half your diet with the fruits and vegetables and then.
And then, yes, so Lunchables, for example, Lunchables, adult Lunchables, you have your fiber, you have your carbs, your fats, your proteins, and then you have a little extra Oreos on the side. So perfect. Great question. Great question. And your name?
My name is Valerie.
Valerie.
Yes. Sorry,
Nice to meet
got
you,
too
Valerie.
close to it. I have degenerative disc disease and I've had 2 back surgeries.
Okay.
What weightlifting exercises can I do that don't involve the back?
No weight bearing. There is a ton of exercises that you can do without having anything weight bearing on your back. You can do lat raises. You can what's that noise? Oh, it's cheering. Maybe it's for me. The little scanner I had up there's going to be a ton of exercises that you can choose from that do not involve you having to utilize your back, especially if this is like a recent thing.
No, it's been about 20 years.
20 years. Okay. Well, you can do a bunch of lat raises. You can do overhead press, things that don't involve a hinging motion. So you going down like this, picking up something off the ground, that. Taking this out of it, you do not necessarily have to do like the barbell example that I was talking about. You don't have to go into all of that. Just choosing exercises that do not involve you hinging or having to hyperextend with your back. I call this like a jelly bean position. My body looks like a bean. Staying away from that, you can do leg raises. You can do, there's just so much. There's so much that you can do even while having that. I hope that answered your question.
It did, thank you.
Would
Yeah.
you talk about supporting musculature, please?
Supporting.
The
Yeah.
surrounding and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
stabilizing joints, it's important to have those strong muscles. So
Right. So exercise, I don't know where she went. I've lost her. There you are, in the corner. So exercise is like, and this might sound strange, but exercise is dead bugs or strengthening the core, things that don't necessarily involve you having to, like I said, use the back. Usually what happens when we have like an injury, it's the opposing muscle that is weaker. So a lot of people say, oh, I have a lot of back pain or X, Y, and Z, and it's because the other muscle is like overcompensating for it. So working on strengthening your core, it was great. Working on strengthening your core will do wonders for you as well, and also help with posture too. Good. You're welcome. Yes.
So my question kind of builds on the last calorie deficit question, which is that if I'm trying to get a calorie deficit, obviously I can eat carbs and sugars, but is it wrong for me to try to avoid sugars or processed foods, not because it's not possible, but because it makes a pattern of eating where a calorie deficit is harder to achieve? Like, is that a safe mindset to try and approach, or is it still sort of rooted in some mythology?
So that's a great question. So just so I get it and to reiterate, minimizing the amount of carbs and sugars that you have because of your tendency to like want those things a lot. Is that the question?
Yes, particularly processed foods and additive sugars. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm vegan, so I eat a lot of carbs.
Yeah. So there's a few ways you can go about this. The first one that comes to mind for me is that trying to completely eliminate it will just want you to do it, to have it more. When I was a kid, my dad would say, Demetra, don't color on the wall. Don't do it. Don't do it. I go back and I paint, I come back with paintbrushes instead of Crayola. So, we haven't changed much since then. It's kind of the same concept. So instead of just completely doing like elimination diet, obviously I'm not a dietitian. I can't tell you eat X, Y, and Z, but completely eliminating it usually causes the habit of people wanting to want it even more. So what I tell people is this. What you can do, what I suggest is trickling it in, kind of like what I was saying to Diane. Yes. Here and there is to have those foods here and there, maybe not necessarily every single day, but just taking it off like a pedestal. The reason why we want it so much is because we put it up here and we say we can't have it. right? And so then it's like this special magical food that, oh, it's cheat day, you want it so bad. I would say trickle it in here and there throughout the week. Start with 2 days, start with 3 days, have those like fun foods that you like to have. And that way it like destigmatizes that food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because having it every single day may or may not cause you to fall off, just because you're like, oh, it's just one. And I can, Demi said I could have it every day. Well, maybe another one, So maybe stressing some of that discipline, but then also flexibility by allowing yourself to have it here and there. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Can
good.
you talk a little bit about mindful eating?
Yes, I
Please.
love mindful eating. Yes. So, quick tidbit: I tracked calories for maybe 4 or 5 years, something like that, and I was very meticulous with it. I would even track my mustard. Mustard has no calories. So, what I eventually did was graduated into mindful eating. When it comes to mindful eating, it's in the name. A few things that you have to implement when you're doing mindful eating is thinking about how full you are after consuming food. So the processed food analogy was great, where you're still hungry after eating that cheeseburger. Sandwiches will fill me up for an hour. That's it. I'm hungry after having a sandwich. So I check in with myself after eating. You check in with yourself after eating a certain kind of food and think, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, am I ravenous right now? Am I a 1? Or am I a 10 where I'm like Thanksgiving stuffed, full? You should probably be sitting around like a 6, 7, like satisfied, could have room for that cheesecake if I wanted it, but don't necessarily need it. So a hunger scale is great. And then also the other thing I like to tell my members and clients and people that I work with, and you guys, of course, is the hunger cues. So checking in with, when was the last time you ate? Was it 4 or 5 hours ago? Is that why you're having a headache right now? Is that why your tummy is grumbling? Is that why you're hangry? And, we were supposed to turn over there. And I'm like, why are you backseat driving right now? Thinking about when you ate, thinking about what symptoms you're experiencing. It's just really being more in tune with your body and thinking about, it's an intuitive approach. Like, have I eaten? What did I eat? How did it make me feel? It's very simple. Writing it down on a sticky note or on your phone note. This cheeseburger made me feel like I had to go to the bathroom, whatever. But that is a great way to start intuitive eating, the hunger scale and your hunger cues. And obviously Google has a crap ton of stuff about that, but I talk about intuitive eating a lot on like my Instagram and stuff like that, because I love it so much. However, right now I revisited tracking just to give myself like a revisit to see how much I'm actually eating. Because yesterday, had I not tracked that chicken, I would have had ice cream afterwards. I would have X, Y, and Z just because it didn't fill me up. That was a lot.
And you're sort of taking advantage of the Hawthorne effect when you do that kind of thing, because you're sort of observing yourself, and so you may have a tendency to behave more in line with what your goals are. So that's a very famous sort of thing that happens in studies. So anyway, we do have a few more minutes for questions.
I'll keep this quick because you actually kind of answered my question already, which was, so I was just going to say, just real quick. So everything she's told you, if anyone is doubting anything she's told you, don't. Everything she's told you. So over the last year and a half, I've lost like 75 pounds. Thank you. I'm turning 47 in a few weeks.
And
so
what's your name?
Megan.
Megan.
So if anyone is an older woman, starting to hit their menopause, you can still do it. I had gained a ton of weight even before pandemic, but that first year of pandemic, it just got really bad. So I was like, I'm stuck at home. I might as well track my eating. So I do calorie tracking. And that was going to be my question, is how to kind of transition out of calorie tracking. But which you answered, though, thank you. And then I started just hitting YouTube workout videos, nothing too crazy, just
Doing what you can.
Just doing some light stuff and then making it heavier. And then I bought like a couple of sets of those Bowflex adjustable weights because you could do a lot of things. However, I also have misaligned knees, and I'm having knee surgery on the first knee in next month. So the question about if you have injuries, you can still do it. Like I put in like exercises for bad knees. There's so much, just you can work around anything that you have issues with. So I just want to say everything you said is 1,000% true and can work. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Megan. Thank you. And Google is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Yes.
I just wanted to give some information for people that are like me with disabilities. They make adjuncts for lifting if you don't have grip, and they're actually wrist wraps with metal hooks on them.
Yes.
To actually help you lift and do pull downs. So
very
if
cool.
anybody else is disabled and you're not very strong, that will help you begin your lifting career.
That's amazing. I actually use them because I have terrible grip strength, and I get like numbness in my hands sometimes. I'm very cold, so it's hard to just grab. But that's great. It wraps just like scratchy. It wraps around your wrist, so you latch it around like Velcro, and then it has. Kevin, my partner, was actually one that got them for the gym because we had someone who didn't have a hand. So you'd wrap it around here, and it's just a claw. It just pops out, and you can.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Things.
And you can get them on Amazon. So
yes.
If anybody's afraid that you're not strong enough, or you feel like you're too old, or you're just not, that's not for you, you can absolutely do it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's very cool. Yes.
Hi. I have a friend of mine, I've been live tweeting this to a couple of people who couldn't be, because they were at a different panel.
Yeah.
And this is from a friend who wanted to know if calorie deficits would change your metabolism. Like, does eating less over time cause something to be slower, or is that a myth?
Well, your metabolism. So this is a kind of a tricky thing to answer because what I have studied is, and I'll tell you what I believe to be true. However, I do see things here and there that pop up and like, well, it's not affected, such and such. But I'll tell you what my belief is. When it comes to metabolism and you start eating a certain amount of food and you're in a deficit, over time, it can get lessen and lessen because you're getting overall smaller and smaller. Your body doesn't have to support as much anymore, doesn't have to expend as many calories. So something called your BMR, like your basal metabolic rate, that gets lower and lower as well. And usually that's why when it gets down to like pounds, like it's so much harder to lose those like last 5-10 pounds because you've adapted to the amount of the caloric intake that you currently have. So to answer your question, I do believe that it does dwindle as time goes on if you are in a calorie deficit, which is why a lot of times coaches, dietitians and such will implement something called reverse dieting to kind of help reboot that and bring your body basically back to equilibrium, if you will say. And it allows the person to also rest like mentally from that process too. But, and then it allows them to diet down again if they'd like. Does that make sense? I hope that answered.
Almost like an interim maintenance and then going back down again.
Right. So it's like a deficit for however many weeks, let's say 12 weeks. And then at the end of those 12 weeks, if you're still making progress, great, keep going. But if not, and you see for about 2 weeks or so, maybe weight has stayed the same, or maybe your weights in the gym have not gone up, you've stayed stagnant, maybe your inches are staying the same as well, then it might be time to implement a diet break for, at least 14 days. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. It's coming. That's all right. I think it's gone. But yes, that's how I would answer that.
Okay, thank you.
So,
yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, there's also adaptations that happen, and your body becomes more efficient. And if you're losing muscle mass, your basic metabolic rate's going to go down anyway because muscle is more intrinsically expensive metabolically than other tissues are.
Yep, for sure.
So, anyway.
And the way you build your BMR is by putting on muscle. Yes, and that way we get to eat more food. So good.
Yes, indeed. You got your last 45 seconds for last shameless plugs. I know you had some good ones on there, but let's hear them again.
I did. I don't know where they went, but it was up there, the scanner. Shameless plug. I do online coaching. My partner Kevin does online coaching as well. We have a whole team of coaches that we work with. We work with people around the world as far as China I think. London, maybe. Do we have, maybe it was something. Austria, I know for sure. I used to live there. So yes, if anybody doesn't live in Maryland, I live in Maryland, no worries. You guys can reach out to me. Follow us on Instagram, peakpt.fitness. And we'd be more than happy to see if we can help you guys out.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate very much. And I'm
you,
sure
guys.
if anyone else has specific questions, that she'll be able to, I hope, do a meet and greet outside
I'll
near
be
the
over
spitting
there.
area. Yes, indeed. Great.
See
Okay.
you guys soon. Thank you.
Indeed, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us here at Skeptic Track. We'll see you again shortly. Please remember, be safe, be skeptical, and do no harm. So we'll see you soon.